Hey guys. Welcome to Secrets Behind the Stars. Everything you're about to hear is what the town is whispering, and we've gathered it all here for you. Don't forget to subscribe and share so you never miss the truth behind the glitter. The rumor mill is roaring with one name again, Cenk Torun. Not because of a new role or a dazzling campaign, but because of a private family moment that allegedly spiraled into a storm. At the heart of it all is a comment said to have come from Cenk's father. A remark about Mahasine Marabet that crossed a line, and Cenk's immediate, unwavering defense of his wife. People close to the family insist this happened quietly, away from cameras, during a routine family visit. The atmosphere had seemed calm, the conversation casual, until someone mentioned a topic that apparently turned the air brittle. Then came the rumor of a sentence from his father that carried too much implication, too little kindness. In that instant, the calm reportedly shattered. Cenk, who usually keeps his tone controlled and his private life guarded, is said to have reacted with a rare flash of emotion. Sources describe the shift in him as unmistakable, his eyes hardening, his voice dropping but firm. He is claimed to have warned, in words no one present could mistake, "You're talking about my wife, choose your words carefully." The moment didn't last long, according to those whispers, but its echo has been bouncing around the tabloids ever since. It didn't help that Cenk's public image has long been that of a man who loves quietly but fiercely. Fans who have followed him from his earliest on-screen days know he avoids spectacle, and yet there he was, allegedly drawing a line so clear it glowed. We hear he has said, more than once, to those closest to him, "Mahasine is my wife, my partner in life, and the line you do not cross." Whether those were his exact words or the cleaned-up version of a tense evening, that sentence has become the backbone of the entire conversation. Everyone is asking the same question: what did the father say? No one solid has gone on record. No quote has been verified. But the narrative that keeps emerging is that it was not a shouting match, more a firm correction that stopped the room. Cenk's temper, if it flared, did so in a contained way. He did not storm out, he stood his ground. He did not trade insults, he issued a boundary. Those details, repeated and reshaped across whispers, are what fans hold on to. And what of Mahasine? The woman at the center of the storm has stayed utterly composed. No cryptic captions appeared on her feed. No stories, no indirects, no sly likes. She didn't feed the algorithms. She left the air clear. And that choice, one we've seen before from her when the spotlight burns too bright, has transformed into its own quiet statement. Supporters are flooding comment sections with the same sentiment. Once again, she chose dignity. She didn't add fuel. She didn't need to. She trusts her husband to handle their home. There have been no official announcements by either party. No press notes, no formal apologies, no rebuttals. Those who know the family claim the situation is already moving toward calm, that this will be a private correction rather than a public feud. But the effect is already rippling through fan forums and social feeds. People are divided on what it means when personal limits show up in daylight. Some call Cenk a class act for protecting his wife with decisiveness. Others groan at how quickly a living room moment leaks into a headline. What's largely agreed upon, however, is this: when it comes to Mahasine, Cenk is unshakably protective. The couple's history makes that believable. He came up in an era of fame that created stars before social media could soften the edges, and he learned early how to put walls between his audience and his living room. She, polished and poised, knows how to move in crowds without ever sharing more than she wants. Together they've built a rhythm that feels measured. But even measured lives have thresholds, and this one was clearly reached. If the talk is to be trusted, Cenk made sure his father understood that the marriage is not a subject to be dissected. Behind the scenes, there are whispers of a follow-up conversation, just father and son. No witnesses, no second-hand voices to muddle the message. In that private talk, Cenk is said to have spelled out the boundary without theatrics: family matters are family matters, but respect for his wife is non-negotiable. The afterglow of that meeting, insiders say, has softened the sharp edges of the week. It isn't resolved with a bow, Rarely are these things resolved in one sitting, but the temperature has dropped. Everyone is giving each other space. There's an understanding now, even if it is a fragile one. It's impossible to ignore how this moment reframes the couple's dynamic in the public eye. We've seen them together at events, gracious and well-coordinated, and we've also seen them step back from the press and choose privacy. This week, privacy and protection collided. Fans are looking at Cenk differently, as not just an actor who avoids scandal, but a husband who actively defends the quiet they live in. And they are looking at Mahasine with renewed admiration for her steadiness in a culture addicted to fast reactions. As the noise grew, so did the debates. One corner of social media is full of applause for Cenk's composure, a man who didn't make a thread out of the moment, who didn't drag the other party into the arena, who negotiated the line in person. Another corner questions why any of this surfaced at all, grieving the fact that intimacy has become entertainment. But in both corners people are repeating similar phrases: respect, boundaries, loyalty. As if the event reminded everyone of what a healthy partnership is supposed to look like under pressure. There was a time when stories like this would have burned out in a day. In today's cycle, when a single rumor can stretch into a week's worth of content, the fire lingers. That lingering has forced many to re-examine what they think they know about the couple. Some point out how consistent they've been, even when tabloids pull at the threads, neither of them starts playing to the crowd. Others say that if it is true Cenk had to draw that line with his father, it's a moment that might ultimately make the family stronger, not weaker. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors with clear rules. Of course, curiosity continues chewing on the edges. What line was crossed? Was it a comment about work? About style? About timing? Perhaps it was nothing more than an old-school remark that didn't land well in a modern home. Whatever the content, the tone seems to be what mattered most. Words can be ordinary and still cut deeply if they carry the wrong weight. Cenk, who has always been deliberate about the way he is perceived, reacted not because he loves drama, but because he refuses disrespect. That distinction has been the core of every sympathetic reaction online. Meanwhile, you can chart the silence if you watch closely. There are no joint statements, but there are small signals of unity. He was seen heading to a meeting with his usual cool. She was spotted later that day, calm, focused, carrying herself with the kind of ease you can't fake under pressure. No showy handholds for the camera, no need to post matching photos. These two have never tried to prove what they are, they simply are, and that makes their partnership more believable now than ever. If you listen to the insiders, they'll tell you Cenk's voice didn't rise much during the initial moment, it was the certainty that landed. That certainty is what kept the conversation from cracking open into chaos. He didn't need to make a scene because his position was clear: we love in this house, we protect in this house, and that applies to everyone, including you. It's the kind of clarity that can feel startling in a culture trained to whisper around conflict rather than address it. In the days that followed, the chatter morphed. At first it was about the comment, then it was about the reaction. Now it's about what this reveals. The couple's fans have started telling their own stories in comment sections, about setting boundaries with relatives, about choosing calm over spectacle, about realizing that marriage is not just a ceremony but a daily practice of loyalty. Without saying a word, Cenk and Mahasine have become a conversation starter for something bigger than themselves. Some columnists insist this will be talked about for months, and perhaps they're right. The narrative is sticky: a beloved actor, a radiant wife, a father who might have misread a room, and a decision by the couple to keep their answers private. It is a modern parable about fame and family. What happens in a living room no longer stays there, not when even whispers can travel at the speed of a refresh. Yet for all the noise, the core remains simple. A husband refuses to let anyone, even family, speak in a way that dims his wife. A wife refuses to inflame the drama with a performance. Together, they choose poise. Together, they protect the small, fragile circle where their life really happens. We've heard that friends closest to them believe this will become a turning point. Not the kind that causes a split, but the kind that reaffirms what they already knew. Each crisis, handled with care, becomes a stitch that tightens the fabric. You can almost picture the two of them at home after the week's chaos, the city humming below, a lamp on, his script pages nearby, her tea cooling slowly, their voices low and honest. Not rehearsing lines for anyone. Just being two people who choose each other, again. If you were hoping for a dramatic clapback, a line-by-line rebuttal, you won't get it here. That's not their language. Their language is the one displayed when the doors are closed. I see you, I'm with you, and no one gets to treat us like a storyline. It's the unglamorous kind of romance, the one with fewer fireworks and more steady light. So where does this go next? Likely nowhere public. Those familiar with both sides say the family is already diffusing the last sparks, that there is contrition in the air, and that a shared understanding is settling in. It's reasonable, even wise, to expect that a simple truth will prevail. Love teaches families how to talk to each other. Sometimes the lesson is loud. Sometimes it takes only one word to realign everyone: respect. Meanwhile, the headlines will hang on for a while longer, because that's what headlines do. But the people at the center of them have already moved on to what actually matters. The next time we see them, it will likely be at an event where their poise looks effortless again, where no one watching can guess at the conversations that built that poise. And if this week changed anything in the long run, it might only be this: the public now understands a little more clearly why they work so well together. He draws the line. She keeps the silence. Both acts, done with love, build a border around their life that feels unbreakable. We will keep listening, of course, because that's what we do. But unless something new and on the record appears, this chapter is best left to the people living it. It began with a comment, it turned into a boundary, and it ends, if we're lucky, with a family that learned to protect the heart of a marriage rather than test it. That's the story, as told by the streets and the screens, about Cenk, Torun and Mahasi Merabet. If anything official drops, you'll hear it here first. Until then, let's honor the lesson at the center of the noise. Love sets its own rules, and the wisest thing anyone can do is respect them. This brings us to the end of our video from Secrets Behind the Stars. If you enjoyed spending time with us, hit subscribe, share this with a friend who loves a good story, and meet us back here for the next chapter behind the glamour. Goodbye for now.